That's
Like,
what
that's
that's what you get for getting a Mac. Really, it's been it's this is
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be a,
fine.
this is gonna be a special episode because this is gonna be the first episode of
You say
Video
this every
Gems that we don't record like a month in advance.
Oh, is this one
This-
just going out the door?
Oh,
This
interesting.
episode's just going up
This is live.
hell
We
yeah.
live streaming
Very-
this.
like very soon because we actually haven't recorded in,
Yeah,
a,
we're
in a
pretty far
while.
behind.
We haven't recorded in a while because
Life's
shit
been
happened.
hectic, and I got sick for like 2 entire weeks. Like
Yes,
horrifically
I also
sick.
got sick for 2 entire weeks, and I also went to London for
Oh yeah, I saw that.
for WAS 2024, and I actually got
Honestly,
to
a
hang
big
out with
mistake,
Harry.
Honestly, London's fucking shit. Okay, can we
It
talk
is.
about this? Can
It
we
is.
talk about this? Okay, we went to WASD is what we did, right? It's like this gaming convention. We went to the fucking place where they have all the snacks and drinks, whatever, cafeteria. It's not really a cafeteria. I walked up, got a coffee. It was probably about this tall.
It's
It's
pretty
probably
generous.
like this big. It was like a tiny. You could
Yeah, it was like a
in
shot.
your hands. You cup it in your hands. Okay, £4. £4 fucking. It was terrible. It was a terrible coffee. Don't go to London.
It's very
Wasn't
heavy.
any
That's
good.
my
coffee, too.
advice because
I love
otherwise
the entire
you'll get
reason to not
robbed.
go to London is just the coffee.
Yeah. Not just it was like exhibition center coffee, so that's probably why it was £4.
Oh yeah, no, exhibition centers everywhere overprice the fuck out of everything.
No,
They
I'm
can't,
not-
'cause
I'm not-
Where else are you gonna get anything?
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna knock. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna knock on London because of the coffee. I'm gonna knock on London because of the fish and chips. It's fucking
Okay.
bad.
So here's the
the
thing.
chips were bad.
Here's the thing.
okay, it
Darkrai,
wasn't
here's the
bad.
thing. Okay, let me tell you. London is quite far away from the sea. And that's
Okay.
where the fish are. So the
I love the
quality
sass
of the
here.
fish and chips in London is not quite as good.
See,
I
as an
see.
American, it feels weird for you to say that London is like far from the sea because I'm like, you're
Yeah, it's
you're
like
still,
You're not
like-
far.
you're on an
Americans
island, so it's
have,
like not that far.
I live in Saskatchewan. I'm far from the sea. I'm multiple of your entire countries away from the sea.
Anything
The fish is
more
still
than like
great.
an hour drive is far away from the sea.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I live in a country where at all times
The hour
you
is
are
the drive.
you are 20 minutes away from the sea. Like I am at the center. I am at the center, like the farthest away
Does
I
that
can
scare
be from
you?
the sea, and it's still like a 30-minute drive at most. And
Wow.
yeah, the fish and chips I've had in Cyprus is much better than the fish I've had in
To be
England.
fair, the British are kind
And
of
I've had
famed
it
for
twice.
bad food, so
Yeah, the
Yeah, but I
the
feel like
best-
fish and chips would be like if I had to pick something that I assume
here's
would
the
be
thing.
good.
I would assume that that's the best of their options. I'm just saying that other places might do it better.
Yes,
That's
like
fair, yeah.
I
I'm
told it.
sorry. We're just bullying Britain.
I told it. I told to my friend that I went there with a relative of mine, and I told him, "Yo, we are not eating British food at all the entire time. We will only eat like foreign cuisines." And we did. We got Thai food. We got frigging
Nice.
Korean barbecue. The top of my list was to go to a Korean barbecue because there isn't a single one in Cyprus. So I wanted to go to a Korean barbecue, and we went there, and it was fucking amazing.
Korean barbecue
And-
is very good.
Yeah.
Did you have okay? This is the food hour now. Did you have an English breakfast?
Technically,
I don't
Like
like
the-
that. What do you
like-
mean by that?
like there was
technically.
like
You can't
there
just drop
was breakfast
technically.
at
That
the
was-
hotel, and it had all of the components of an English breakfast in a
Okay.
buffet, and you
And
could
then you-
assemble it yourself.
Okay, so
and
yeah,
stuff.
yes is the answer.
So I
Technically.
suppose yes, but like I didn't go to a place where they like served
They
me an English
served it. Yeah,
breakfast
that's a
on a
good
plate, and they were like,
That's
"Here
a
you
good
go,"
point.
and just like, "Here's your beans on toast." whatever abomination this is. Why would I do that? So
I'm gonna come out as a beans on toast defender, but here's the thing: you don't. I'm gonna explain why. One, if you just pour the beans on top of the toast, you're a fool. You fucked up. You failed. Because now your toast is soggy. No. You put the toast on the side. You take a bite of beans. You take a bite of toast.
That's fair.
It tastes good. Wieners and beans with toast is a Canadian classic for when you're fucking poor and you want a cheap meal that tastes good. It is actually good. You just have to have the right beans and you have to have the right toast. And
I'm like randomly thinking like, is the American equivalent like sloppy joes? Like where it's just meat.
No, it's
just
more
meat and sauce slopped on some bread.
It's like, more like the Quebecois equivalent would be like poutine, and I would highly recommend people go watch Lamb Hoot's food compilation. But the one that Lamb Hoot does where they talk about like the cheap working class food thing. This is why I get annoyed about people shitting on, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing that they talk about in that video, which is that like beans on toast is one of those. It's cheap. You can make a bunch for the entire family meals that I used to have when I was a kid, and I know it doesn't look appealing, but if your standards for food is it must look appealing, I think you failed.
Hey, I'm Cypriot. I love me some working class food. I just don't like beans all that much.
That's fair.
So...
That's fair.
I love the hash brown.
The people online, I see this discourse and they're always making fun of that specific meal. And it's the difference between I'm not a fan of beans, which is like, oh, that's a taste thing, versus, you know, how could anyone ever eat this vile, disgusting, low-down food? I'm like, have you actually eaten it though?
Yeah, okay, that's the thing, right?
Have you actually eaten it though?
Opinion if you've actually tried beans on toast, but if you've not tried beans on toast and you think it's bad, then I invite you to try it.
Yeah, just make some beans and have some beans with toast. Don't put the beans on the toast, because then you get the toast all soggy and you failed.
I mean, if you want to try putting beans,
maybe
on
that's
your
the
toast,
problem, right? I've been to a place where they served English breakfast, and it's where I tried the beans on toast thing, and the beans came pre-applied on the toast.
Yeah, okay, I think they fucked up. That's not good, especially if you're like eating out and getting it. They like put the beans in like a little pot.
Yeah,
you are the master of your beans. You can put the beans wherever you want. You can keep the beans in the pot. You can put the beans like on the plate. There's so much you can do.
Like, I feel like beans if you wanted it on, you'd be better off just like doing beans and bread. Like I could see that. Like there's stuff where I just like throw like gravy and chicken or something, like throw it on some bread. You know, like bread can be soggy with like certain things. That's fine.
Yeah, especially if it's
like why toast it? It just gets too soggy. I find.
Like if you're gonna toast it, like why?
Pre-apply it, if you pre-apply it, it's gonna be too soggy. Even toasted,
This is either the most interesting conversation we've had on video games or the most boring. There's no in between. People are either going to be sat there like fucking hooting and hollering, like, yes, I get it, yes, I love beans.
Harry, I will thank you.
What the fuck are these people talking about? This is terrible.
Harry, I will thank you.
YouTube videos. What's this?
I will thank you for providing the title of this episode, which will, of course, be Master of Beans. Hello! And welcome to Video Gems, the only podcast that comes in liquid form. I am your host, Darkfry, joined by my co-hosts, Harry from Video Games Are Bad and Aronok from Canada. Today...
YouTube channel
from Canada now. I fucking hate this country. Don't lump me in.
It either suggests that Canada is a YouTube channel or Video Games Are Bad as a nation.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that implication, but oh my god.
That was the implication I was getting, and I'm glad you picked up on that, Harry. Anyway, today we have a very special guest, as we always do. Willa Question Refuge, welcome.
Hey, it's fun to finally be here on the other side.
Yay! Introduce thyself.
Okay, I run the Questing Refuge YouTube channel. Doing video essays. Most of it, I'm generally talking about disability, but I do tend to also talk about like parenting and other related stuff. Yeah, I guess
Media.
usually using media.
And you you made a video recently.
You're back.
Yeah,
it took a while, but I did.
Yeah, you're back after a long while, a bit of an absence.
Just a little bit.
You have made a glorious return with a video on Finding Dory, on how disability is portrayed in Finding Dory. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like this quick little thing to kind of get me back into stuff, and then I still spent like 6 months on it or something ridiculous over, which feels like a relatively simple video coming back. Although doing stuff on camera, at least at first, like I know it'll be easier in the long run, but like at first is like quite difficult if you haven't done
so hard.
Oh yeah, it
before.
was your first
I don't
on
want to say
camera
too
video.
much, but it's really hard.
Yeah, so that added a lot. Like I spent a lot of time like fooling with different setups and stuff like that. But yeah, it was fun. It actually was one of those videos where I kind of had a couple of different ideas. I think I ended up combining here, where it became its own thing. And it definitely was sparked a little bit. This was definitely like slightly petty, I think, where there were certain conversations where I was like really frustrated that like people were like, yeah, Nemo and Finding Dory are basically the same. And I was like, no. And then the other petty thing that kind of I think sparked it was I think I noticed a couple like sometimes I forget like people who are disabled or neurodivergent, especially, I think it tends to happen more often. Like they kind of learn like just like very surface level stuff to like helps make them feel a little better, but like they don't really like learn beyond that, which is like fine. But I saw like people like self-identifying as like differently abled, I think at one point, and I was just kind of like, okay, I need to it's like that's not good. So yeah, I don't know. So it was kind of a combination of those frustrations came about because I think like sometimes we're so starved for representation that it's just like people think as long as it's in there it's fine, and I think especially for disability, I just feel like a lot of people don't engage with other than like very surface level stuff on disability. And so like Finding Nemo was a really good example of like, yeah, he's technically disabled, like in the sense that he has an impairment, like one fin is smaller, but like through the text of the film, like he's basically not, is kind of what I'm getting at there. And then showing that like, you know, Dory actually has a lot of like nuance around disability, which I thought was really interesting. That it had, you know, multiple characters who were disabled. There was kind of community, and things like that, which is pretty rare, like in all media, sadly, let alone in like a random like kids film, which was kind of cool. Yeah, so that was kind of I had seen these movies a ton because, you know, our kids like just had them on loop a lot at various points, so like I'm pretty familiar with them. But
wait, they had them on as like background movies, just
put
them on again and again.
Finding Dory and Nemo were definitely
that when I was
favorites.
a kid too.
Yeah, Finding Nemo was like a good background movie when I was a kid.
Background movie. This was
so
before
we
had a
listened
video
to Finding
essays.
Nemo as like a background movie when we were kids.
That was before we had video
one.
essays to put on the background, so we put movies.
Yeah, true.
I'm sure we can figure out something to say like that.
That's actually how I learned English when I was a kid. Like I learned English by watching movies on repeat, first in Greek and then in English.
That makes a lot of sense.
So like I would watch a movie so many times in Greek that I would learn it by heart, and then I would watch it again in English, and then I would like match the words, I guess, and like I don't know, slowly over time during my childhood, that's just how I just learned English through osmosis, I guess, by just watching stuff on repeat.
Yeah, I've been doing that a little bit with Brazilian Portuguese, and I know actually my wife learned English a similar way, although I think it was like through following like boy bands when she was younger. Was actually a big motivation.
That's very funny.
But I found like I love finding like games and stuff now. Like I hadn't thought about that at first, but now I look for stuff like, oh sweet, like I was replaying like Final Fantasy IV actually has a Brazilian Portuguese translation. It's great because I played that game so many times. So replaying it in the language I'm trying to learn better.
Enough context information that you can discern. Yeah.
It's really fun. Like,
it's great for learning, and also Willow, I love that you said that this video partly was born out of pettiness, because genuinely I think all of the best videes are just like writing about something that annoys you.
100%.
Like, oh, you motherfuckers, I'll show you, and then you write a fucking banger.
Some of the most productive writing you can do sometimes is just looking at what everyone's getting wrong and not necessarily arguing with them so much as like doing it right or exploring a concept correctly, not even necessarily responding to other people at all. And I know for myself with like the Matrix video is a direct response to a series of tweets made by an essayist I like. It made me so pissed off that I felt... And I came close to like directly responding to some aspects of those tweets, because they people might guess who this is based on this, but or if they remember it, but they didn't understand J.R.R. Tolkien's stances on allegory, or his definition of allegory, and they were trying to use it to argue that the Matrix isn't like a trans metaphor or whatever, and it was just so... They were so obnoxious about it. They were so dickish, and they were so fucking cis about it. And I was just like, I'm going to explode if I don't explain this. And so, like I was always going to make a video explaining why the Matrix is trans, but it turning into a video about the ways in which cis people systemically deny our perspective, and how that leads to harm, including from allies, wouldn't have occurred, I think, and the video wouldn't have been strong without that spite there. Just like, I'll show you. I'll show you how to do things right. You
next time, Gadget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny how like it does feel like we're like, the same with this was like I had those ideas in my head before a little bit, but like just seeing certain things is enough to be like, oh god damn it, like okay, I'm gonna have to do this one now because I need to get this out of my head.
It motivates.
Most of my videos are born from spite. Most of them, like literally most of them.
The latest
spite and spontaneity.
My latest video is like half spite. Like it's a modified version of a academic paper I wrote. It mostly additive. Nothing's removed from the academic version. I just like some things I changed the wording to be more video essay-y. And less sense. Dense, dry academic. But
you should release the academic version.
Oh, I will. I'm gonna put it up on Patreon.
Just dub it for the words.
It'll be up there. Like I genuinely might just post that version to patrons alongside the main script once I've finished the main script. So I've recorded 90% of the video, got pretty much everything else done. I just had a moment of realization with the script and with the story of like I felt like I was missing something, and then I had this realization of like, oh, I can do this really weird framing device using the Stanley Parable, because I can do an okay impression of the narrator. And though Harry, I'd love to hear if you could do a better impression.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe I'll bug you for that. But also Dark for afterwards, remind me to message you about reading some quotes.
Okay.
And I figured out like I could do this really weird framing device using the Stanley Parable, like in between chapters of like Stanley is watching the video and
nice
at the narrator's instructions, and then like keeps like pausing the video and shit, and Stanley's a representation of like cis white men's fragility in a way.
Oh,
That's
God.
funny. Someone, I don't know if I should say too much because I don't think they're like publicly working on it. But somebody that we know is working on a Slay the Princess video.
Mm.
And I've not played that game, but I'm pretty sure it has like a similar sort of like narrator thing going on, and I'm voicing the narrator in that video.
Oh, fun!
Oh, I see.
Well, if that friend needs other voice actors, I'd be happy to play the princess.
I need to play Slay the Princess.
I need to play that game because I really like.
There's too many games. Can we talk about this? There's a lot of games.
There's too many
is
fucking
a lot of
games. There's too many games, and I'm back on my Destiny 2 bullshit too. So I'm like, I'm really.
I always hate it when that happens. Where, like, there's all these video games coming out, and you're just like, nah, just gonna play the game that I've played for like 5,000 hours.
Well, to be fair, the new expansion releases next week, and it's
Same, you did too bad.
The final shape. It's the end of 10 years of storytelling that I've been really invested in for the entire time. So, I'm a little excited to get the conclusion of this, because when it's out, I think I'm probably gonna write a video about Destiny 2, like, as an overall project that would be kind of a mix of like an examination of how art evolves over time, especially living art where the community is such a huge part of it and so heavily directly influences the writers and things, and how sort of organically these themes developed over 10 years and how these characters developed and how the connection sort of develops into this really, really interesting story, because I think there's a lot of interesting thematic elements to Destiny 2 to explore writing wise, and like there's lots of lore channels that will just tell you the lore, and that's cool and that's fine, but I don't find that very interesting. I don't think it really gets into like the value of Destiny as a work of art.
Lore is
and
overrated.
Also the weirdness of a work of art that is made as like a live service product
like
as well. What?
Why is the moon like that? I've only played like the original Destiny when it came out, and the only thing I remember is that like you've got this bit, the Traveler. That's what it's called. It's called the Traveler. It's like a big moon thing, right?
The Traveler is it's basically. It's a paracausal force. It's kind of like a minor god.
Right.
God, lowercase g.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Not even uppercase G.
Oh, no, because, like, there are, like, gods, like, lowercase g gods are, like, a thing in this universe,
When
right?
I played Destiny, that Traveler was, like, the fucking biggest thing that was going on. So clearly they've added a bunch of stuff.
You gotta
actually,
it's like
the
some
final shape,
it's
we're
like
going
some
inside the Traveler. We're going to the Pale Heart of the Traveler to stop the Witness. It's a
That's
whole
pretty
thing.
cool.
Oh.
But, no, and the way that
Harry, they're going to stop
series...
the Witness. You're into that.
So, and
Jonathan
Blow,
stop!
Jonathan, no!
Jonathan, no! You're making a Jonathan!
Listen to Soldier by
Jonathan. What was I saying? Like, so you've got a situation, a game that has managed to sort of really develop out its meaning over a long period of time, and so you get some interesting stuff with that. Of like the most recent two expansions, especially in some of the recent story stuff, has been able to pull on these like parallel visuals, and even just the advertising for Final Shape is pulling on that stuff in really interesting ways of like things that are familiar but different. And like, for example, in year 2 of Destiny 2, Uldren Sov, the Prince of the Awoken, kills Cayde 6, which is basically just Nathan Fillion robot.
That's what it's anything to be.
Right. And there's this really famous shot
Nathan
when he kills
Fillion.
him of him having a hand cannon like
Castle?
aimed at Firefly Castle, etc. Weirdly enough, the kid of like the best friends of my aunt and uncle, I'm not kidding, so Nathan Fillion just like sends them merch sometimes.
What?
Because they were like you know those types of family friends that are basically like family. That's basically my aunt and uncle are like that with Nathan and like specifically Nathan's parents. So yeah, small world. Nathan Fillion, genuinely a lovely human being from everything I know of the people that like know him personally.
Canada is small, apparently.
It's actually really big.
Yeah. It only takes 10 minutes to get to the ocean.
And yet it feels small because everyone knows everyone else somehow. Like, it's the weirdest place because everything's super spread out and disconnected, and yet at the same time it's all like socially connected through people. I don't know, because it's a small enough population size that you probably, like, if you grow up in Saskatchewan, any other person you meet from Saskatchewan, you probably know their cousin, or like your mom worked with their aunt, or like you both have a mutual friend. Like my TA, my art class TA, right? End of the semester, he was like, "Oh, you should." It's my girlfriend and I. He was like, "You should follow me on Instagram because I have like my big final show at the end of the semester." Lovely guy, really liked him, and it's obviously like that's not something you could say is okay when they're still your TA. And that's the weird thing at university. You have teachers that are like your age ish, but turned out that he grew up doing Ukrainian dance with my childhood best friend. And we probably interacted with each other when we were like 7 or 8 years old, not known. We found this out because of Instagram.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's so random.
Yeah.
No, you know everybody, and yet you also don't.
Yeah, like, actually, as far as the games, it's funny because like this year, I feel like the last year or so, I've been buckling down and like not worrying about how much stuff's coming out and remembering like, hey, you know what? With kids and being older and stuff, like I'm usually like just in kind of a weird black hole with media anyways. I'm just kind of accepting that again and just being like, you know what? I really enjoy playing long RPGs. So like, I'm just going to play that stuff here and there. And I'll occasionally squeeze in a short game in between, but it's just like,
yes,
I feel like I've been enjoying games more doing that.
Willie, you've been playing a little game that we like called Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah,
it was very good.
Willow played Persona 3. I was so happy. When Willow was texting me about Persona 3, I felt like a proud parent.
It's great.
Yeah, I was so excited specifically because of you two. Like,
yeah. And I'm feeling the same again now because Vivian is playing Trails. So
that's another one I like. I
started Willow.
One of those Trails way back, and I really liked it. And I don't remember. I think I started playing it around when I had a pretty big break in gaming kind of for a bit, like just a lot of life stuff going on. And I never went back to it. But you were talking about it, yeah, and I was like, oh, I love that series. It was so neat. The little bit I played.
It's probably my favorite game series right now.
Wow.
Like it's my current hyperfixation.
Wow,
it's just
considering
it's just so
Do you want to know my favorite game series? Immediately starts Pathologic posting it. Screams. I love how this episode we've just got fully off track and it's basically just friending.
Hey, these are the best Video Gems episodes, you know? Genuinely, I wouldn't have it any other way.
What do you want to talk about, Willie? Do you want to talk about anything?
I am up for whatever, really. Like, yeah, I can talk about Persona. Persona 3 was fantastic, by the way. It was definitely up there for one of my favorite RPG in a weird way, because it was so different. Like, it was the first half of the game, you kind of feel like, why is this even working? Like, it's actually like if I stop and think about this and I try to talk to someone what was happening, the answer is nothing, right? Yes. Like you play like it's just getting you like locked into the routine, like just the habitual routine of your daily stuff, and it's just kind of chill and satisfying, and you enjoy, like, you're basically just there for the vibes of the characters hanging out. It's you know what, Persona 3 is kind of like what I enjoyed about Final Fantasy 15. Right, the vibes are excellent.
The vibes are immaculate,
but the story and everything else in 15 sucks. I hated 15. I really would not like where that went. But I loved like specific things in 15. Like the vibes were like the best. Like it actually was so 3. It's like you have the vibes, and then the story, when the story starts, it just like so much stuff happens, and the fact that it uses like narratively well that you weren't doing much in the first half, but that routine is like baked into you. It like uses that against you in a way where you're like, it's so good. And even then when I finished the game, there were things that I noticed at the end where I was so pissed that I missed. Like I realized I got in this routine, and there were social links and stuff that I just like completely missed that I would have like loved to explore. And it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it was absolutely like fascinating game. But yeah, it was
There's
amazing.
a real power as an artist of establishing a pattern and breaching it at the right time to fuck with people, to affect the audience strongly. And I really love when I think games can do that more so than anything else, because you can establish like a routine that's more physical than other works of media, right? Like Dungeon Meshi does this really well as well. Dungeon Meshi's structure of most episodes, you establish this sort of almost in the way it's like shows like Scooby-Doo or something have a formula. You kind of establish a formula in the first however many episodes, and then you get to the resurrection episode, and fucking everything breaks in terms of that structure, and you're like, what is happening? What's going on?
That's like
spoilers for Dungeon Meshi, I guess.
Yeah,
I was
gonna say I'm actually at that episode you're mentioning, so I don't know what happens after that. That is literally the last episode I watched.
And then it's really unnerving when the show kind of goes back to its routine, but like you can't change that the Eldritch Horror shit's happened.
Actually,
it works so well. It works so well.
We should talk about Dungeon Meshi for a while, because it's actually very relevant to Willow's video topic.
Okay.
Right? Because
I'm on episode 2.
Because
I
Leos
feel like
is autistic, and Fallon is autistic, and Marcel is also autistic. And
no, but here's the thing, right?
Senshi is also autistic. They're all autistic.
So good.
They all seem very interested.
That's very true,
in
right?
food,
but
right?
specifically for Laios, right? Like I keep seeing people say that Laios is autistic coded. And like, no, he's just autistic.
What does that mean?
He's just autistic.
Sure
You can
said it.
You can say that he is autistic. There is literally a major plot beat
oh my God, it's so
where one of his friends blows up at his face because of how blunt he is and how incapable he is of reading social cues. And there's a big argument about that.
How can you say someone's coded when it's like their entire time on the show is like
it's in the text?
Like he's a walking
it's plot relevant.
It's amazing.
His autism is plot relevant.
Yeah, like it's like his autism is like a driving force in the show. Like it's literally part of the reason that like what?
And my favorite thing about the show, is the weird ass dynamic between Kabru and Laios, where like Kabru's trying to play like fifth dimensional chess and just getting beaten by Laios, who's completely unaware.
Yeah,
because he's too autistic to be manipulated like an holistic. Like again, Laios's autism is so plot relevant. One, it's the reason they start like eating the dungeon food and stuff, and it's the only reason because Laios is so autistic about monsters and interested in monsters, and so shunned socially from dominant human society. It's what gives them the perspective and the skills to accomplish what they need to accomplish, and yet at the same time, like it is still treated as a disability, and it does it. Like there's no other show doing it like Dungeon Meshi in terms of representation.
Character. I like genuinely.
It really is.
This is like when people see that Marcel and Fallon are lesbian coded. Like coded?
No.
They're lesbians.
Oh, it's the main character.
I say this is a massive dyke. They're lesbians.
No, but okay. So here's the thing, right? I knew about the Marcel and Fallon discourse like pretty vaguely. Like I just saw some posts about it and stuff. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Some people ship these two characters, I guess. And then I went to watch the show, and literally the first line Marcel says in the show, is, "I would do anything to save Fallon."
Yeah, and she fucking means it.
And she means it.
Like, it's like, because part of what the show is also about is like love will take you to extreme ends that isn't necessarily good, right? But like you will break all morals, all rules, etc. if it means saving the people you love. That is a core element of the show. And again, like the show wouldn't function if half the cast wasn't autistic and Marcel and Fallon were lesbians. The plot wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Like,
I haven't seen people talk about the other characters being autistic, and it's like, yeah, no, totally. The entire party is like, or most of the party is like, clearly neurodivergent in different ways. Like,
oh yeah, no, but like what I like about it, and this is an important thing to me, is like, one, I think part of why the characters get along so well is because most of them are autistic. Like, this is partially why Marcel and Laios and Marcel and Fallon function together, and also why Marcel gets annoyed with Laios and vice versa, because they have like incompatible autism, which is a thing. It happens like in real life. Yeah.
So the thing I made that tweet, right? I saw that the first line Marcel says is, "I am homosexual for Fallon."
In perfect American English.
It's literally like, I would go to the ends of the earth. I would break all laws of natural nature. Yes. I would destroy the universe just because I love.
I went down one day. I went downstairs and I found my dad watching Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
And he had Greek subtitles on. And the Greek subtitles translate that line to "I love her."
Oh, yeah, no. One of the Japanese versions
what are you gonna do,
has her saying "I love her."
Argue against the Greeks?
Specifically in a way that doesn't, that like it cannot be interpreted as anything except for romantic.
Yeah, we are the nation of Lesbos, baby.
Yeah, so... and the voice actresses for Fallon and Marcel also support this reading, and I don't know. I'm like, I think you're denying this. You're just like literally not watching the show.
I made a tweet about it. And it's somehow that
was
tweet.
Your first mistake.
They found it somehow.
Oh God.
They found it somehow, and it got some absurd replies. And the
it's
response
ridiculous to think about how that happens, right? Because like you're in your own little bubble making a tweet, and then some fucking nerds out there are name searching. Dungeon Meshi.
No, there's people that like anytime there's queer discourse on media, those people will sit around on Twitter all day, name searching in order to harass people. I've genuinely experienced this.
Yes,
it's awful.
So yeah, the response to my tweet has been so absurd that I literally wrote several paragraphs about it in my Persona 4 video.
So
I just had to mention it. It was so relevant. Like, this is like exactly the thing I am talking about happened to me while I was writing this script. I just couldn't.
And it's going to happen again.
Not.
Well, and the thing that's worth noting as well, like we were talking earlier about like making videos out of spite, and the video that I'm making is about like video game avatars as ways of seeing. It's a lot about representation and why representation within the like video game avatars, people don't know what that term is. It's like it's the character you control in a game, right? And so obviously that's relevant to how a game wants you to see the world and wants you to see its world, and et cetera, et cetera. And I talk about a bunch of stuff, but part of the stuff that I added that wasn't for the academic version, though I definitely think is an undercurrent of the academic version of it, like the purely academic version, was sort of the spitefulness towards these ding-dongs that genuinely think that like the world is taking over, as if like you can't look up the statistics on how many characters are women or people of color or queer. Like you can. And for context, from 2005 to like late 2010s, the change was drastic. There's about twice as many women characters as there had been before. The thing is, that one, it almost exclusively came from NPCs, secondary characters, and two, doubling 15% is only 30%.
Yeah.
Which is a lot lower than half. That's almost half of half. We're not even.
Mentioning the NPCs is actually something that's been on my mind lately because I keep coming back to this ridiculous discourse about like disability in fantasy, and it's always absolute shit. But like, one of the things that bugs me is like even in media, like I think a lot of times again like representation, like people tend to think of like the main characters, and it's like it's really easy to just add background characters and stuff that have stuff, and like really they just ignore it.
I actually think it's really telling when works of art will have a single marginalized person, right? Even in the main cast, but no one in the background, no one in the rest of the world. Because it shows a lack of like imagining the average person as being anything other than a cis white man. Like if the people that you imagine inside of a city are only white, that says something about the way that you view mass populations, and it says something about the way that you view not just like individuals of the overall world. And so like people might intellectually know like, oh, we got to have some diversity, but not realize that they kind of have that underlying thing. So they'll have a piece of representation in the media,
right? Yeah, I've been thinking about it like
but surface level.
I don't know if it's something I'll end up talking about, but like because I've played a shit ton of Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and that's something I've been thinking about specifically in this because there's a lot of stuff that I don't like, and most of it, to be fair, a lot of it is from kind of baked into D&D, and they do try.
Oh yeah, D&D.
But sometimes the way they try makes it worse. Like, but like
the combat in Baldur's Gate 3 fucking sucks ass. Don't tell anyone I said this, okay? People listening.
I understand not liking it, but
combat,
as
combat fucking sucks.
As a D&D nerd, I enjoy that kind of combat. But I totally understand someone not liking that.
Yeah.
Like I am a nerd. Like when I've mostly played co-op with Nina, and like we just like I just help do builds where like we essentially just steamrolled everything, so we weren't really engaging in the combat a lot.
I guess it's more like a D&D thing, right? I think D&D combat just feels like it takes like 10 years. And I guess Baldur's Gate really kind of improves in that regard.
Slow if you don't do certain things. If you insta-wipe most combats during the surprise round because you built things right, it does not take long at all. But if you get into a situation where you're rolling consistently badly, and
you just said skill issue,
maybe I did.
Yeah, like it's very different. Like, but with that, like, so they have some really prominent, like, even disability stuff, right? Like, even like actually, most of the main cast is really dealing with a disability thing.
Yes.
But and there's a couple other main characters. But what's interesting is, other than like a couple of important NPCs that we have a quest or something, there's not really like random disabled people, which I find very interesting. Right, like there are even specific lines addressing disability. Like there's even a line where like Will says something like, "How dare you like discount a disabled person's life," which I really like. There's a line where like you can, if you say something callous about maybe it's good that she died, like somehow someone who's disabled, which was it was nice they had that. But like you're literally in like a huge city, like you meet so many random people, and other than the people who are like kind of important, like the main PCs or the a couple important NPCs, like there's the gnome that's like blind. Other than that, like they don't really have anything. And I always find this interesting because despite people's ridiculous discourse around like disability fantasy, it's like the same people who believe that technology is going to like save us and get rid of disability, where it's like, this is ridiculous, right? Like just because you have magic, people are gonna have access to that. Like there are still people starving in this world where you can create magic on a thing, right? Like that's not how systemic stuff works. That's not how these things function. Like it's just a weird, but yeah, like it'd be so easy to add random NPCs, right? Like it would take almost nothing to have that.
Like the random NPCs that are just walking around the town. Again, it's a thing of like, you're not imagining us as just like average parts of society. your matching system, so especially this thing. What's interesting is Baldur's Gate succeeds in this in a completely different way. Like it fails on respect of queerness and of disability in that way, but for queerness, it's one of the few games where you can just kind of like there's queer main characters, and also you can just encounter like really minor characters with no quests, nothing attached to them, that are just gay. In some way.
I was surprised by that. I was worried it would.
But just gay.
Like
good for them.
But there was a lot of random like gay people.
Yeah, and then for like important NPCs, like I think stuff like Abby Thorne's character, is really great, and
isn't that what Fallout New Vegas does?
I'm super excited to get to meet Abby at the premiere this month. I think she's gonna be there. I can't remember. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
Everyone should go watch Identities when it releases, because my co-writer's film is happening, and
that's exciting.
Some of my friends were nice enough to fly me out for it, because I definitely couldn't afford it myself.
Cool. That's so cool.
That's friggin' wild.
It's so weird. I'm gonna get to meet John Delancey. Which is Q from Star Trek.
I'm so blown away that like John Delancey's in it. Like that's so
not that he loved being in it, and he's like the nicest person from everything Jesse's told me.
Nice.
We support John Delancey in this house, and John Delancey supports us. So
that's great.
Yeah. Video Gems is pro John Delancey. Future Video Gems guest John Delancey.
I doubt that, but
you don't know my power.
I guess I'm doubting my own power here.
It will happen.
Deep in your voice for that, like it was. You don't know my power. My power's too strong for you, traveler. My podcasting power's too strong for you. You can handle my podcast. Podcast, I need your strongest podcast.
I did say in the intro that Video Gems comes in liquid form.
Liquid form, yeah, exactly. Did you read the
it's all coming together
about the potion seller guy? The little factoid that's been going around.
Movie or something?
He wrote challenges.
He wrote challenges?
I'm pretty sure he wrote challenges.
What?
What?
You don't know this? I want to Google it now because now I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna look this up.
Jamie, fact check this. Yeah. No, I did not tell a lie. The potion seller guy wrote challenges.
What?
Isn't that great?
Challenges?
That's amazing.
You can do anything.
Kind of incredible.
Like. You can be the potion seller guy and you can direct a really
Have
cool
you heard
movie.
that, chat? You're not locked into one thing.
No, just move. When the potions are all sold out.
I hate that I'm so used to streaming now that when I think of like a term for the people watching something, my brain immediately says chat, like unconsciously.
It's becoming a pop culture thing, I think. I feel like
I literally was like, wait, are we streaming? I was for a second, I was like, what?
No, but I'm just because I'm so used to it. I'm so used to it. It's what I think of, like, instead of saying audience or viewers or whatever, my brain just goes chat because I use it so often.
Seeing chat used a lot more outside of
Video Gems
context.
Roundtable right now. What do we call our audience?
I don't know. People who watch. I don't care.
I thought if
I'm not involved in this
I
discussion.
shouldn't say those. I'd piss someone off.
Willie, you can submit your opinion on my behalf.
I used to call my audience bitches.
Because
like
the silence.
It's just like,
where's the women in this call?
my bad.
No, because it's just a joke I made like a long time ago. Because I'm a VTuber, and like VTubers always have like a cute nickname for their audience. Is like hello shortcakes, or hello cloud puffs, or whatever. Like a cutesy. So I decided that mine would be bitches. But I never acted on it.
You didn't act on it.
That's probably good.
I never actually called my audience bitches. Until now, I guess.
So the next video is going to be like, "Hey bitches, it's me, Duck."
yeah, exactly. That was the plan, yeah, but I never actually did it.
Sounds like a film pimp, like not a real one, but like the film one. That would be in a South Park sketch.
If
Cartman voice, these are my niches.
Oh God.
Oh, we are bringing all the hits in this episode.
I'm imagining like some kind of Angry J style like
review I want to be clear, YouTuber I don't like so.
That actually calls their audience bitches. It does it like.
No, here's the thing. Right? I'm like a hair away from being a Ransona. So
there's definitely some kind of force stopping you from doing that, though.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's something.
So like if I took a wrong turn at any point,
the moment you start calling your audience bitches, that's how we know.
Yeah.
Like, we know that you've entered your heel era when you start calling the audience bitch.
To be fair, I already am a bit of a
side
heel.
Note, one of my favorite things about like online culture stuff in the last while, terminology-wise, is how much people, and I think this is largely influenced by my friend Feek, have come to use like wrestling terms to describe it, because I do really think that it sums up the sort of performativity and how it functions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I definitely have learned a lot of that from his videos. Like, I think I've heard it used a little bit before.
I already think I'm a bit of a heel, so I'll lean into it.
Like
I don't know, you're always trying to like
not too much.
Who is the heel? Nah, because you're not Darkfire. Let's be honest. But who is?
Yeah, I mean, a heel would not be against self-deprecation. Let me put it that
exactly.
Way, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I would say like there's definitely creators that purposely place themselves in that type of position, where their content relies on them inventing controversy, pushing controversy, exaggerating controversy. And creates conflict, and they're not necessarily trying to be liked, right? I would say there's also people who just become unintentional heels, much like in wrestling. Most obvious example being a certain summary boy. Starts with a J. He who shall not be named anymore.
Wrestler?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like.
YouTuber.
Like where they're unintentionally. Yeah, you can figure it out.
I've got no idea who you're talking about.
Who could have done all the plagiarism? I still fucking can't believe that we found out he lied about. I still can't believe that we found out that James Somerton lied.
You could literally describe everything about him to me. And then the moment you mention plagiarism, it's like fucking Perry the Platypus with his fucking skateboard.
Here's the wildest thing. Here's the wildest thing to me. Which is, how the fuck is the way you're gonna get caught for lying about attempting to unalive yourself by posting fucking hole on Twitter and an alternate account?
Wasn't it?
That was unreal.
I kind of
didn't actually happen.
I was just like, I don't think I need
someone
to know
else's balls
this.
too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
it was that exact moment. I don't need to know
I have seen so many posts saying that the pics weren't actually him. And I can't tell.
I'm not
if that's a joke.
in the slightest.
I genuinely can't tell if that's a joke. I've seen so many posts about this.
The best part is, like, either way, it's hilarious. Like,
no.
Like, if that's the only thing that wasn't plagiarized, that's also hilarious. Like,
that's also funny. If the only thing that he couldn't plagiarize was...
It works either way.
Like, it's great either way. Like,
yeah. But also, how funny would it be if this little insecure asshat plagiarized all? I can't. Oh my god. I literally almost laughed so much there that I was getting lightheaded.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
I've laughed.
But it's like a good reminder.
Video James podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Aronok passes out laughing at James Somerton's
actually. I've laughed my way into a few asthma attacks a bunch of times in my life. It happens.
Same. It happens.
By the way, Willow, I wanted to talk to you about this. Genuinely, because it has to do with your video. Like, I think, not to be I'm making a video about this guy, but I sort of do happen to be making a video about this. About how saying the words is important. Like, like how you mentioned saying the word disabled. Like, you can just say it; it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I have only very recently become comfortable with calling my asthma a disability. Like, that was a very recent change for me. Like, I've only
it's hard.
I don't.
Like, it is easy to get caught up in it.
I don't remember exactly what like pulled the switch in my brain that did it, but I remember having a very like clear thought of, oh, this is a disability. That's exactly what this is.
Call it how you see it.
And yeah, I should be like calling it exactly what it is, because asthma is in a weird spot because it and I'm sure this is the case for most non-visible disabilities, but it gets trivialized by most people. That
I have a chronic illness that's like literally almost killed me, and people minimize it because I don't have it's not visibly noticeable.
I mean, to be fair,
like, okay,
they minimize everything
24/7. Oh, they do.
Ridiculously.
They do.
Yeah,
just in different ways. But I do
sure,
think that like
I'm sure
constant
this isn't
denial of like what you're experiencing, when it's like, no, I am in excruciating pain right now. I'm not lying.
That's
I experienced it in medical
I'm sure
context.
it's definitely not unique to asthma, but I feel like asthma is in this like sweet spot or sour spot, I guess, where like the most common reaction to people hearing that I have asthma is them going, "Oh, I had that when I was a kid."
Right.
And it was like, no, like, okay, you're talking about like allergies or something like that.
So people can actually have acute asthma.
Yeah.
That is still full asthma, but it's temporarily.
That's a thing.
It's like the difference between needing a wheelchair because of an acute injury versus needing a wheelchair for your entire life.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. With like,
one is a chronic condition, one is an acute one. But like, it is real asthma. It does have the same effects. Some people also will have full asthma, and across puberty will either something about their lungs will change and it'll get better, or for some people they develop it later in life as well. That happens. So sometimes when people say, "Oh, I had it as a kid," they do actually mean that they had asthma.
No, I do believe them. It's not like I don't believe them, because then I would also be trivializing it. Funnily enough, but
there's a lot of different. What I mean is, there's a lot of different things people could mean when they say that, because there's a big difference between I had asthma, as in my lungs had some inflammation one time. And I had asthma, like a disability that is a consistent issue. And it eventually changed.
But like you know, you can sort of get what they mean based on the vibe,
the intonation,
and on how they say it, because like most of the time it's dismissive, a bit, and it's like, I don't know, this is a thing that can just stop you from breathing.
Oh yeah, no,
I think if you haven't experienced asthma, like, you just don't understand.
And also,
I mean, like most things, but
and
also,
when I was a kid, I am always,
and it got better when I was older.
Yeah, I am always at all times aware of my breathing. So when I hear the phrase, "Oh, it's like breathing," to say something is very easy.
Man, that means something different.
It's like, oh, okay. I just find that very, very funny.
Yeah, I mean, I have minor asthma, and if I am being good about certain health stuff, it's mostly managed, where like I haven't had to use inhaler a lot, and I am very aware as soon as anything impacts me, where it starts to hit me, where like I get really scared of like it worsening again, because it's one of those things where I'm already dealing with a lot of other things. So like your breathing getting messed up is honestly amazing at how
it's debilitating.
Awful that is. Like, yeah, it's like, not only does it just suck because you're so acutely aware of like having difficulty breathing, which is like a thing you need to live very immediately, but also like how it affects your energy and everything else like so drastically.
It fucks up your sleep.
Yeah,
that's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. And with someone with pretty severe insomnia, I can tell you, fucked up sleep really messes with you. I know what it's like to have the type of fucked up sleep where you get to the point of hallucinating. So, like, fatigue is no joke. It does genuinely, massively affect you.
And I've been thinking about this a lot.
It's why sleep apnea is such a huge problem as well. Like, if you have sleep apnea, right?
Yeah.
That can really mess you up because you're basically like constantly waking up in the middle of the night with many like adrenaline. It's because you can't breathe.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot recently because as I've mentioned at the start of this, one of the reasons we haven't recorded in a while is because both Aronok and I got very sick. for a while, and I actually had my biggest asthma crisis I've had for years. Immediately after I returned from London. And it only got better like a few days ago.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's been especially sobering, I guess. I've been this has been just a period of time where I have been reminded of my own disability. And it's a very I don't know how to describe it. It's a weird feeling. One that I haven't felt since a long time, and it really was like a sharp, painful reminder.
Oh yeah, that's I had the same thing because my asthma hasn't been as bad as an adult as it was when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, I had to take an inhaler every single day just to be able to breathe and stuff. And as an adult, I don't think I've taken an inhaler in years, but when I got sick there, it really fucked with my breathing for like a little while after I was done being sick. It's like why I couldn't record, and yeah, it was not a good time for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this as like a creator, I guess, a lot. Like, you know, it's definitely, for me, that wasn't the main reason that I wasn't like getting out videos for a long time, but it obviously is still a huge factor. And there's this element of like you're feeling with the asthma, like where it's like I have asthma that's mostly okay for the most part, but like there's like these several things that aren't in each one of themselves isn't necessarily a big deal on most days. But each one is like this thing you're juggling where like I do something for one and then it makes the other thing worse. And I have to constantly kind of fluctuate these things and so you're kind of constantly reminded, like if you have a bad day with like asthma or this other thing, there's like, it definitely brings back like kind of a fear or just a having to kind of reconcile the emotions of like, oh, right. Like this doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot, but this might actually be my limit here. Like this is it. Like this is what I have to, what I can do. And it's which it was part of the reason it's important to be able to acknowledge that and say like, I'm disabled. And even though I talk about this stuff, like I still can be hesitant or feel weird in certain spaces, right? Where it's like because of the social stuff in this and just the pressures, right? Like that of getting things done. Like I've definitely been worrying less about videos, like even though I want to do more. I've had to just to try to, just with parenting and other random things, like there's an element of like never feeling like you're really doing enough, which I think is there for like all parents to a degree, but like I do think that like if you're disabled especially or just marginalized in other ways, there are all these extra barriers that make it hard to do the things that you're supposed to be able to do, which is like basically impossible. Like you're basically set up to fail. And it's hard reconciling all these things.
Well, it's tough. Like I went from, I used to be like a full-time athlete, doing all these things all the time. I probably overdid it sometimes with stuff. And then now I have, pretty severe chronic fatigue. I'm like just frail and tired all the time. And I've always had to deal with disability, and it's always been hard, but it definitely got worse in my 20s with my chronic illness anyway. And that's a tough thing to have to contend with, because you have to realize like, oh, this is what I'm capable of now. Yeah. And it's one thing to like intellectually know it as well, and it's another thing to like, okay, no, actually this is my limit. I need to be conscious of that limit. I need to be thinking about it and taking care to account for it, because if you push too far, you're just done.
Yeah, it's something that just always takes space in your brain.
Yeah.
And it just has to, and it's just always there. But the important thing is that, like, because this switch in my perception has been flipped recently, and I am now calling and treating my asthma for what it is, which is a disability. Like, I felt comfortable, like, going to my boss at work and telling him about it. I was like, hey, I'm having trouble breathing these days. I'm not feeling very well, and he was very understanding. It was like, cool, let us know stuff we can do about it, and anything you need.
Nice.
It's
That's
fine,
good.
and stuff like that. And I feel like I wouldn't have done that before. I wouldn't have taken the thought process of, okay, this is just a thing that's happening to me now, and I need to deal with it. But I need to like let the people around me know, so that I can so that we can work through this together. Before, I feel like I would have just been, well, whatever, it's just been like this all my life, I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, and I'm glad that you actually have like a boss who was understanding.
Yeah.
Everyone, I hope so, but you never know.
My coworkers and everyone else was cool about it too. But this is why, like, I can like speak from experience to say that saying the words, like treating it and saying it exactly for what it is important. So your Finding Dory video was just a very great way of articulating that point, and of putting it in the context of how media can do that, can also take steps towards doing this, and how representation should be loud but not sugar-coated. So that's
a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I like that as summing it up with the sugarcoating.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're sort of on the fence about, and you have some sort of like thing like I had with my asthma, just call it what it is.
Yeah, please.
It'll both make you feel better, and it will give you a lot of clarity on what to do about it when you need to. So, yeah. Just
also, really quickly, I just wanted to touch on something from earlier, because like, I think there's a like different sets of because I've seen people like discourse about this in weird ways online, and I say this as someone who experiences both the discrimination based around having invisible disabilities and as someone who's experienced a lot of like very violent transphobic harassment and things because of how I look and stuff, that sometimes people take, because I just want to make sure that I'm not getting misunderstood for what I said earlier. So people take discussing one as like denying the other, and it really bothers me as someone who experiences aspects of both, that like it does actually really affect you when you're constantly denied like have your stuff downplayed and everything. Yes, people with invisible disabilities don't necessarily face this type of violent upheaval for what we visually are, or that type of harassment and things. But like as someone who's experienced both of these things, I kind of hate how sometimes people with one or the other experience diminish the other type of discrimination. And so I worried that some people would interpret what I was saying earlier about dealing with the discrimination you get for having invisible disabilities as like dismissing what you deal with when you have a visible disability. And trust me, I'm very much not, because I know how
there's no way people
dangerous
will misinterpret what you say. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, being a trans woman on the internet, no one ever purposefully misinterprets me in the worst way possible to actively try to damage my career.
But like,
it's never happened. There's not like
our
literally
audience,
a dozen people
the video
dedicated
gems
to
audience
my
is
life.
cool.
That's true.
The audience of video gems are chill, and I'm sure most people would be. But there's that if the wrong person grabs that, clips it, and decides to interpret it a certain way, I'm going to be harassed for the next 2 years based on it. And yeah, if they yeah. So for people who don't know what a tar pit is, it comes from it's a Tumblr term.
It's exactly what you're talking about.
That like is a tar pit. That's the term. That's what it comes from.
I just love you are a tar pit is one of my favorite responses to
funny.
anything.
I immediately knew what that was. I had not heard that term before, and I immediately was like, "That is a perfect term for exactly what you're talking about." Like,
no, it's a perfect term. So basically, like someone was talking about one thing, and another person came in, presumed a bunch of ridiculous shit based on it, and then was like, and the first person responded, "You were a tar pit."
Yeah,
it was so accurate.
It
was so accurate. It was just like what it is I the problem with a lot of like modern communication, I find, is decontextualization, which is where you remove the context in which a sentence is said, overlay a different context completely unrelated, and then act as if it was said in the secondary context. So someone says, oh, if you can provide kindness to someone else, et cetera, I can't remember what it was, like the original post, and then this other person comes in and is like, so you think that like totally unrelated thing, how unfair to those disabled people, and it's just like, so what the fuck are you talking about? You were a tar pit.
The post was
I deal with a lot of tar pits as a trans woman.
The original post in that was, you can always provide relief to someone else, why would you choose to not do that? And then the tar pit comes along and it's like, how could you assume what would cause relief to another person? What if what you do instead just stresses them out more? And then OP was like, I was talking about,
you know what's best for them instead of letting them tell you, and it's just like,
and then OP was like, I was talking about the nice lady at the library who waived my late fee, and then the tar pit was like, oh, good for you and good for her, I guess, and then you are a tar pit.
So now people just post a screenshot of that original thing of just the "you are a tar pit" part in response to people doing that on another website.
It's the best.
Beautiful. It's the best. Nice. I like Tumblr gets a bad rap that I don't think is fair.
I like Tumblr
because I don't think any of the issues that occur on Tumblr are unique. Like, it's literally just, this is people being shitty on social media. Welcome to social media.
I should just fucking make a Tumblr. What am I doing?
Even
find
I've got
the
a Tumblr.
culture on Tumblr.
I think I have one, but I don't think
I don't use it.
I actually love when I hear
like-
stuff on Tumblr. I'm like, this sounds
Yeah, I
great.
like
honestly.
reading all the
Like,
The
Tumblr.
culture of Tumblr is very fun, I find. In terms of how
There's
it
a lot of
responds
great
to that
stuff
type of stuff.
on there. I like the pissing on the poor post, which I know sounds weird out of context. Where it's like somebody made a post that was like, man, I swear the reading comprehension on this site is piss poor. And then there was like a reply or a
responded to
reblock
that
as well.
with,
He's like,
"You're
how
trying to
dare you
piss on
say
the
we
poor?"
piss on the poor?
That's great.
Like they were in on the joke. They were doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But it was so good. The reading comprehension on this website's piss poor. You think we piss on the poor?
So then, like, whenever on Tumblr, I know this. Whenever like something gets like misinterpreted or like whatever, it's always a lot of pissing on the poor going on here.
That's great. Yeah, no. See, Tumblr sounds great. I just struggle with like social media, like in general. Yeah. So I just haven't like. It's like my brain doesn't want to like. This is also why I struggle with writing. Is like it's like I can't turn off like the like editing writing mode. You know, like people use social media where like it's more like turn your brain off and just say the thing you're thinking. And that is like I'm like, how do you do that? I don't know how to like.
I'm great at that.
So I usually write stuff and just like delete it. I'll be like, you know what? This isn't worth the effort. Like, it's gonna take me 10 minutes to write this tweet. I'm just gonna delete it now.
That's
like,
interesting.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
hard
my
to get.
videos sound like my tweets. It's great.
It's hard to get to a point where you can just like say whatever and be comfy with that.
Yeah.
I'm sad about what happened to Twitter.
Man,
it is sad.
No,
it is sad.
Like, as much as I fucking hated Twitter in a lot of ways, I am sad about what happened to it and the destruction of that community. And like, I've just completely lost the like possibility of connecting with a lot of people that I used to chat with. And
I also am very sad about it for reasons that I will not mention again on this episode. But
yes,
yeah, it is frustrating.
Well,
hey, they added the Blue Sky, so maybe Blue Sky.
DMs on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
I'll come back.
They added DMs on Blue Sky, which is good. It's only available on desktop, which is annoying, but I'm sure they'll update the app soon. And really, like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that bad.
Hi, would you like to be on my podcast?
Yeah, because you
hello,
can still
Blue
do
Sky
now.
friend.
Yeah.
He's on. We could nab some Blue Sky exclusives. He's on Blue Sky all the time.
TB Skyen?
I don't go on Blue Sky. I can just message TB Skyen whenever.
Yeah, same.
My friend.
Skyen.
I love Skyen.
Not
Everyone should go watch Skyen's videos. They're really good.
So you gotta shoot out to like you gotta shoot real high and just go for like Neil Gaiman. He's like ridiculously active on there, actually. Like
And
I'm
on
really
Tumblr.
surprised.
Everywhere. I saw
He's-
him everywhere. Right?
I swear to
You know
God,
what?
I'm like,
Fuck
how
him.
do you write this much and hang out this much on these websites at the same time?
I don't
It's
know
the
how
dream
he does
there,
it.
isn't it?
Fuck it, I'll
Surely,
message
I'd
Neil
do it.
Gaiman. I don't care. I'll fucking do it. Who cares? I don't care. Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Video Gems.
Are we done?
Everyone.
What a wild way to end.
I want
I'd
to
message
be on
Neil
this Video
Gaiman.
Gems
Mom!
episode forever.
Like I got bigger fish to fry now.
It's like, I have an idea. I
Fucking
must
done here. It's Neil Gaiman or bust.
I need to do something.
Listen,
I need to return some videotapes.
Listen, hate the game, not the player. You know, it's just that's
fair.
what you got to do. Got to get those Neil Gaiman viewers, the viewers that will come for Neil Gaiman and then surely stick around.
So I actually think that like you can like kill your own thing by like having too big of a guest at the wrong time.
Yeah,
it's so
it's
weird
like
about
when you
internet
do a
shit.
video that blows up on like a specific
Yeah,
topic,
niche
and then
topic,
you're that
and now you're
channel.
just like, that's all you can write about for the rest of your
that's
life.
not good.
Enjoy. You're
Don't do
never gonna
that.
get to write anything else. And I'm like,
It's like
what?
It's like
No, thank you.
This is a thing that I texted to Chipmunku-chan actually.
yeah.
Nah,
Chip,
Chipmunky
I was like-
Chan's fine.
I was like,
He's fine.
I was like, hey Chip, how do you feel about like becoming a lore channel?
Look, He knows what he's doing, right?
And it was
They
like,
know what they're
it was
doing.
like, hey, I like doing it, and it works. So
Yeah,
not worried.
like they're having fun with it.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're making
Plus,
what
Chip
they like.
can do fucking anything.
do
and it will be
anything.
amazing.
Chip can do
So,
anything and be entertaining.
Yeah,
He can literally do
And I
anything.
Yeah, so-
I don't think that Chip would lose that audience.
It'll be fine.
Name one thing
If-
Chip can't do.
Seriously,
We can't.
Fucking
Can't do
impressive.
it.
Yeah, people are there for the editing. Come on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for the yeah.
I think Chip is the person that we've like, as the kids say, glazed up on this podcast. I hope I've used that term correctly.
I fucking hate that term because
It's-
I will forever.
Also,
like,
it's not-
anytime I hear that term, all I can think of
It's like
is
honey.
certain bad fan fiction.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not.
I'm not thinking
being
about
made
that.
fun of on Tumblr.
It's
where they
not.
use
It's
that
not
term.
glazed
You know
up.
what I
It's
mean?
glazed. It's just glazed.
Just glazed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
just
think
glazed.
of like, you know, those things that you stick in honey, like the little
Yeah.
implements. I just think of
It
that.
kind of makes me think of like
Doing that
Bedazzled or
if,
something. You know, where they
It makes me
those
think of
little gem things.
like
I'm
glazed
old. So
donuts,
like,
but also it
You'll
makes me
have
think
very
of
innocent
bad-
minds.
like bad writing. Yeah, like rude. Like because on like r/like men writing women and other things, I've seen that term. So my brain just anytime people saying it, I'm like, why the fuck are you talking about coming?
It's just
So-
what kids
so
are
it's
doing
like-
these days.
So, where you'll see stuff like his throbbing member glazed her all over.
Nah.
Yeah, no, like that's the type of thing that they're
This
making
is-
fun of.
Yeah.
That'll be the type of thing they're making fun of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
You've
just
now
sitting
got
there
two
like,
choices for the title of this episode,
can
Dark
we
Cry.
fucking not? Can we
What's
not
the,
use
what's
that
the
term?
second?
And
What's the second?
Also,
Oh,
I just
God.
noticed that like
It's either beans
people-
or cum,
people
okay?
almost-
That's what I'm
people
gonna
almost
say.
exclusively use the term as like a negative, as if it's bad to hype something up, as if it's bad to enjoy things. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, I feel like
Oh.
we're having a fucking resurgence
know
of
what-
cynicism culture, and I hate it. I hate
Yeah,
it.
it bothers me
what's
too.
that? What's it like?
South
Yapping or
Park
something?
syndrome.
Yapping? Yapping.
Yeah.
I hate yapping.
Fucking hate yapping.
Stop saying yapping. Okay, it's
if you,
not
if you
a good word.
if you tell one more woman on the internet that I know, like, or me, that
It's
we're
just
yapping
like-
too much, go die, you 1950s sexist weirdo. Like you sound, you
I still
sound
would say that. But
like you wish that we returned to a quote unquote better time, and that better time just happens to be when slavery was still around.
Damn. Oh my god. Okay.
I hate it because I noticed like that terms are getting used a lot in
It's
response to women
fucking
talking
so
about
annoying.
anything online. So
Especially,
yeah, it was just like
I've
fuck it.
seen it. I've seen it used when
I hate
people
it.
talk about something they like, and like,
Yeah,
if
I've
someone
started
is
seeing
info
other
dumping,
usages
The
for
thing
it
is,
more
like,
recently,
if someone is
which is
info
why I'm
dumping,
saying
they're
specifically
yapping.
if
this
you-
is
if-
literally what we do.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah.
like I've seen,
oh, you're yapping
like,
too much.
doing
Why
it
are
right
you here,
now.
then?
like yeah,
Why
I
are
bet,
you
like,
on
you could
the-
just leave.
Why
You
are
can
you on
choose
the
the
website where
things
people
that
talk
you
about
can
things?
watch
Yeah, like,
and
yeah.
listen to.
I've seen Cursed Judge post so many comments where people
Yeah,
say
people
that,
are like, oh, you're
say
yapping
that
Don't know
too
how
they're
they
much.
do it.
Stop
say
I
that
don't know how
they're
they
yapping.
do it. They just go through
and
all
I'm
these
like, oh
comments.
my god, get better criticism or something. I don't know.
Because they
You're
Why?
speaking.
Comments.
You're speaking in your video where you speak. Bad.
Yeah,
Right, like I cannot
and also
put
if you
myself
like
in
a
that mindset.
game, you're
Like, how do you
glazing
do that?
Oh, you're bad. You're just a game glazer or whatever. And it's just like, okay.
Game
I think
Can
we're
we
done.
go back?
YouTube
Can-
channel name like that.
Can we go
I
back
feel
to
like
saying
I'm becoming the
Get off
fucking,
my
like, old
lawn.
man yelling at
Yeah,
lawns.
but I think it's
I-
fine.
which is bad
Nah,
and
it's-
gender de-affirming.
yeah. Can we please go back to just saying W or an L, and at least that
Yeah,
made
yeah,
us
you know,
sound
2
like
years ago.
cavemen and not bigots.
At least it made it sound like cavemen and not like we were talking about weird, like, talking about sex weirdly
Oh,
and or
Oh my god! I just remembered the fucking funniest video I've seen recently, and it was a VTuber who was making a bit about how Zoomer and Gen Alpha slang sounds like pirate speak. So it's like, you're raising me cat.
I don't love that because again a lot of people say, oh, it's Gen Z. No, it's stolen AAE is what it is. And to explain why I use AE and not AAVE is because the there's a debate within the linguistic community whether or not to count it as like an actual full thing or as a like vernacular. And I find that the placement of vernacular is inaccurate because it has its own unique grammar, and I think it just diminishes the
I need to find this video
of AAE to say like, oh, it's just like a lesser form of English, which is how a lot of people discuss it, which is why I don't.
Right.
So I'm just explaining why I'm like saying AAE and not AAV in case people think I'm like being silly. I'm like, no, it's because I side with
attention.
I'm on that side of the linguistics debate.
All right, fine. I'll spend the next 2 hours looking for this video and send it to everyone.
But
bye.
A lot of those like terms are from AAE and shouldn't be meowked in the way that people do online or attributed incorrectly. Like I saw one earlier where like someone posted a screenshot of somebody misusing an AAE term, like, oh, Gen Z slang is so ridiculous, and it's like, that's just a white person using AAE wrong.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't find it. No.
But the glazing thing, as far as I know, the glazing thing is just Gen Z. As far as I know, the glazing thing is just Gen Z being annoying, so I'm gonna make fun of that. Until I get corrected.
We kind of just
I'm fine with funny terms. That's fine. I'm gonna glaze my toast with beans later, So
wait, no, don't do that. Actually, you're supposed to have them. You're supposed to yap them separately. Anyway, bye for real now.
Are we still in the podcast? Is that...
I feel like this might be one of our most chaotic episodes.
Oh my god.